actually, this has gone pretty well. All things considered. Like, remember we had our issues with streaming and stuff in the old warehouse. I think we're not all grown up, but we're like twins right now. I'm jinxing it.
But it does feel like everything's
Are you believe in like jinxing, suspicion, or what do they call it? Superstition. Yeah.
Superstitions. What's Michael Scott's quote? I'm not superstitious, I'm just a little
Okay. Cute.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to the closing beat and happy Wednesday. How you doing? It's kind of our new set, right? Like we're kind of putting it together here. We got to work on the lighting and stuff, but this is essentially what we're trying to build. There'll be more stuff like, over here and, clean up all this stuff, but we're finally away from the wall and we actually got something going on. So that is the equivalent of what we tore down at the other place and then sort of remangled here. Like the bottom, that's actually the wall from the other place that we now made the bottom. The stuff up there, that's actually the fin tips top that we made over here and kind of put them together. So and then these bars and stuff are from the shelves that you didn't normally see on the show. They were tucked over in the other corner, but massive shelves. So we're working on putting things together, and then we just thought, hey, what about like a lighted something or other? I don't know if that stays, but hey, it's our new show here anyway. So I appreciate you guys watching and putting up with us through the garbage there. We will, of course, make it up to you and try to teach some cool stuff. And we talk about the stock markets here. That's not a green screen. That's actually real. We're financial advisors, but we like to think of ourselves as a little offbeat and truthfully just normal people, right? Occasional, words slinging around that maybe you wouldn't hear an advisor say, and of course lessons that you wouldn't hear them talk about, things to make you feel like, all right, this is not intimidating. I've spent years actually working on getting rid of my corporate talk so that I could just be myself and just talk. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope nothing comes across too stuffy, because that's why we call ourselves Jazz Wealth, right? Jazz is not stuffy, it's relaxed. It's sort of fun and vibrant. That's what we want to be. Anyways, we're going to talk about the stock market here today, and off to the right-hand side, you can see we finally got a freaking rally, right? We just talked about that yesterday, actually, that we're down to the 50-day. It's the only area that everybody has to look at right now. That's it. There's no other support, no other reason, no Fibonacci pullbacks, no nothing. It's just that blue line. So when the world is focused in on one thing, what happens? Remember, it's a rubber band, so we can trade in and around that blue line. But a lot of people see that as an obvious buy point. That's kind of what people saw today. And so we got a little bounce. That's good news. A lot of things have pulled back a little bit out there. And we finally got a small rally there. That puts the S&P, by the way, back into positive territory for over the last month, right? By about a 0.4%, 0.3%, something like that. Now, these days here, don't let them lull you. These days have been very calm, right? This would be the 18th or 19th day in a row that we've not had a 1% gain or loss. So we're inside this quiet little window. So one day when you see a 1% drop or 1.5% drop, you think crash, but in reality, it's just larger than what you've noticed, right? It's kind of like being on a boat and there's no waves or anything, and a boat goes by and all of a sudden you feel the shaking. It seems worse than it really is, but if it had been that way the whole time, you really wouldn't have thought much about it. So anyways, that's a new record, by the way, 18 days or 19, I can't remember, days in a row without a 1% gain or loss. That is actually a new record during the virus here. So since COVID started, we have not had a streak like that. So think of it as good news, think of it as bad news, whatever you like, just bringing that kind of thing to you. All right, in the S&P here today, energy. If you were in the energy sector, boy, you noticed some of the movers today. EOG, actually the best mover, biggest gainer in the S&P 500 today. Very strong move. My Diamondback, right? Nice 8% move all in one day, basically erasing all of the chop and nothingness that you saw over the last couple months, all in one day. That's awesome. This was, if you didn't know, this was my pick for the 2021 year. If you had to pick a stock, what would it be? I picked this one, and at one point it was the leader. Then it got quiet in here. It's now in 23rd place. for the year in the S&P. I'll take it. That's not bad. I think it's actually on its way, starting to do some good here. Anyways, if you go through the S&P 500, biggest gainers for the day are going to be energy stocks, oil explorers, oil producers, Cabot Oil. Look at that incredible rally there. Apache, I don't have to go through all of them. You now know, hey, if you're looking for that strength, that's what you have there. The NASDAQ, great little rally, a little bit stronger than the rest of the markets, right? Because it did not make it back to the 50-day. It held up better today. However, the start of the day was actually weak. So, well, you could see if you're familiar with the candlesticks there. The start of the day, we sold off, and the NASDAQ was actually down while the rest of the market was higher. What happened was they came for the stocks that were showing that strength. Remember yesterday we talked about Facebook. Hey, the markets were pulling back, and Facebook was not. Well, today they came for that early this morning. Just a quick plop on all those stocks that had been holding up. Just a quick selling, and then it was like everybody's, well, oops, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that, and we gobbled it back up there. So the NASDAQ actually finishing off the day quite positive considering we were down on the day. That's pretty impressive there. Inside the NASDAQ, if you happen to be looking around, you got a handful of names in here. I want to point out, oh, yeah, you can see it. 21st Century Fox. Fox is the ticker symbol. Great reversal from yesterday. Just a stock that you might want to put on a radar and keep an eye on there. eBay bouncing off the 50-day moving average. That one looking pretty good. KLA-10 Corp. Remember, that was the one from our semiconductor list that we went over on Monday that wasn't too extended and all. I thought that was interesting. Oh, I do want to point out T-Mobile. Took a shot on T-Mobile today, selling the 120 puts. There was so much volatility in that. I sold the 120 puts on T-Mobile looking for a bounce. It started to bounce a little bit, but look at that. Climactic sort of waterfall decline there. It's one of my favorite things to take shots on, and so that's what you have there. If you look on the downside, you're going to find the Chinese names, right? Yeah, you got Pinduoduo down on the day. Remember, these have all had decent runs in the last couple of weeks as we believe that China may be backing off this area of the market. I would point out that QCOM broke down just a little bit here today, and Skyworks, where's that one at? Very important area for Skyworks, right? Right here, 175 area. That's where you want to see it hold if you happen to own it. And, well, that's the NASDAQ. All right, if we look at the Dow, that one is just clinging to third place year to date. It is hinting very dearly that it may go to be the fourth place, well, last place actually, for the four major indices for the day. If I go or for the year, if I go through the Dow today, energy is going to stick out. You had Chevron, obviously a strong day with energy and everything like that going on there. I want to point out Boeing. It's quiet, choppy in here. Not a decision-making time for Boeing, right? You got Microsoft making a little bit of a move back to highs. Remember, that one was strong yesterday as well. Hey, right? Oh, it was that guy. Remember? The guy from Morgan Stanley. He said they're going to raise their dividend. He thinks that they have room to raise it by 10%. Today, Microsoft came out and said, yeah, we're going to go ahead and do it, raise the dividend 11%. He nailed it. Good for him. I don't know if he knew or whatever, but anyway, so another good day for Microsoft. That sticks out. Disney. Good reversal off the 50-day here today. You've got the CEO, I guess, at the White House. Biden trying to get Disney CEO to mandate vaccines there. I don't really follow that too much. I just heard that he was there, and I follow Disney more than I probably follow politics. I don't get that, by the way. I mean, it was just, like 2 months ago, Biden said, we're not going to mandate a vaccine. Now we're going to mandate it and force companies to do it. So Disney is there, and I think a couple other companies as well. Also, fun fact, if you're at Disney or planning to go to Disney here in Florida, Saratoga Springs and Port Orleans are opening back up. They've been closed since the virus. Port Orleans is okay if you're going to stay there. It's considered a moderate hotel if you're looking at price-wise. It's a moderate one. They got the boat, take you downtown or Disney Springs now and everything. It's okay. It wouldn't be my top pick if you never stayed at one of those before. And I would say if you weren't concerned about dollars. Actually, I would stay at Art of Animation before I would stay at Port Orleans, and I think it's cheaper. What were we talking? Hey, Cody, take it away for a second. I had to think about what I was talking about.
You got your leaders today. You got MD, Thomas, Zachary, Peter, and Charlie. MD's been on our leaderboard like the last 3 weeks. Was on it earlier this week. MD's been all over it. So, yeah, and tight little race there between Peter and Charlie if there's a little bit of dip going into Friday. But Yeah, there's your leaderboard.
It doesn't look like the right leaderboard.
You don't have MD Thomas. You don't have MD Thomas, Zachary, Peter,
I do
and
not.
Charlie.
No.
Oh,
Take it over.
Okay. Yeah, that's a miss on my part.
I
boys.
did jinx it. See what I did?
Yeah, you did jinx it. You did jinx it. Yep. Nope. None of those
Okay.
names are right.
No, I'll take. That's mine. That's on me there. I jinxed it, man. All right. Well, that gives me a second to figure out what's going on here. We did the Dow. We did the S&P. We did we got to do the Russell. Do you remember how this has been trading sideways for like the last 6 months? Actually, yesterday was the 6-month anniversary of the Russell making a new high, right? There's an interesting thing that happened here I want to share with you. In the last 40 years, there is only one other time where the Russell has traded sideways for 6 months without making a new high, but yet it hasn't fallen more than 10%, right? The biggest pullback that we had was from here, right over here, to here, and that was not 10%. It was 9.7% to be exact. So one other time in history has the Russell not hit a new high in 6 months, but also not fallen 10%, meaning it's in this tight range, right? And so if you look, well, obviously that's very rare that the Russell would do that. If you look at the last time that this happened, which was 2014, so if anybody wants to go check it out, you look 1 month ahead of when it happened. It finished in September. So if you look 1 month ahead, the performance was actually a loss of 7%. If you look 3 months ahead, it was a loss of 0.9%. So basically tells you we fell and then we rallied, but we were still losing at that point. 6 months ahead, we have a gain of 5.4%. So this is one data point, right? So I'm not claiming to use this as any sort of strategy. But if you look at the last time this happened, we were sitting real tight. Did we break out? No. We fell 7%. We rallied back up, and then by 6 months later, we were positive again. So if you're looking for a pullback, that's good news in the Russell anyways there. Very, very rare, by the way, that this happens. It's just sleepy, really sleepy there. I think there were 8 other times in history where it had trended sideways for 6 months, but then hadn't fallen any more than 15%. So still rare, but a few more instances there. All right, what else do we got? We got bonds. I want to point out bonds real quick. Interest rates ticked higher just a little bit there. But remember, real rates are still negative. Real rates meaning, of course, inflation adjusted. So real rates are negative, and they're negative by almost 1% if you're a bond investor. Think about that just for a little bit, right? Just a quick thought. All right, sector breakdown here today. Only utilities, I believe, were lower on the day, and that is correct. Energy or anything related to energy, I've already said that. You're going to notice that's where your strength was. Oil explorers or the XOP higher, oil service stocks or OIH up 4%. Energy, I usually use the XLE to look at the sector. Of course, a big gainer on the day. I don't use USO anymore. But you'll notice things like the commodities ETF, DBC, broke out, new highs, all oil supported there. Regional banks got a nice reversal there. I'll point out retail, there's not a sector, but industry there. Retail pulling back towards this bottom of this range. Maybe, looks a lot like a Russell, but maybe a little bit of a rally there. And not basic materials. Financials back to the 50-day. Home builders, where'd we go? Home builders bouncing off the 50-day there. We talked about that yesterday. Maybe a little bit of support. Not a sector, but one of the ones I like to look at. Also point out healthcare real quick, flirting with the 50-day moving average, and that's pretty much it. The moral of today's story sector-wise was you had recent pullbacks, you got a one-day bounce. One-day bounce does not make a new uptrend or make an uptrend, so we'll have to see what tomorrow holds for you. All right, new highs and lows. I feel like I talked a lot today. Las Vegas Sands. Oh, and I did not get. I tried to get a position on Las Vegas Sands or win today. I did not. These are lower on more Chinese regulation. They want control over their dividends, basically. Chinese regulators or China, President Xi over there wants to control the dividends for these individual companies because they control the living daylights out of Macau and their how they handle their business there. People don't like that, but it's not that big of a deal because they don't want to change the dividends at the moment, so we know of. But the stock's been selling off because of that. I just thought that was a cool one to try to play. Did not get a chance to. No, Phil. Broadcom hit new highs today. I thought that was interesting, right? That's that breakout. Mentioned this a few times, had a bunch of false starts, meaning breakout, nothing really to write home about. breakout, nothing to get excited about. Breakout, close at the highs of the day. That's your secret right there. We close at the highs of the day. That's giving you a better clue than what you saw over here. You got a breakout, but it finished nowhere near highs of the day. Well, that's not very strong. That's a number one candlestick right there. So if you're in our dojo and you're one of our clients, search for candlesticks, and that will be labeled as the number one. Just as a beginner, kind of a fun class. Also, we already talked about CLAC moving to new highs. I just wanted to point that out. Take-Two Interactive, one of the new lows, but trying to come off lows there. Closed positive for the day, so that's interesting. But one that is not playing along, Hormel. Not even trying. Look at this weak attempt here. This is telling you, don't mess with me right now. If you took a shot here, what happened today? Can you see it? Let's go like this so you can see. Oh, there you go. So what happened here? You got a big sell-off, and you have people right in here saying, okay, maybe we found a bottom. Myself would have been included. I would have thought, hey, it's extended. Maybe it bounces. What happens today? Everybody's wrong. Everybody that took a position right here on this low, they're wrong. Stop losses trigger if they have them in there. And you got new lows, so that's part of the momentum to the downside. All right, stocks in the news for the day, and then I'll take your questions. This is not really a lot. Citrix, actually, this was one of my better exits. Oftentimes people brag about their winning trades, winning investments, winning whatever. For our portfolios here, last April, we actually got out of it. I don't know where that means the stock was. I know this was one of our better exits, meaning we avoided months and months. How do I go further out? Let's go like this. Oh boy, that's a long time. So last April was our exit, somewhere in here. Well, so it wasn't the top, right? But we avoided having to participate in all this nonsense here. But anyways, I remember that just because it was, when you have a good exit and you see like, oh my gosh, I just avoided that. That's always a good thing. Not to brag. But Bloomberg says they're going to be selling. I think they hired Goldman Sachs to look into a possible sale for them, and we'll see what happens. Eli Lilly in the news, government contract. They get 400 doses of the COVID treatment, or 400,000 doses of the COVID treatment there. And so let it rain on them, right? You're seeing this every day. I don't know socially, like how you feel about that. They're getting paid a ton of money here for the treatment, but we need it, right? So it's kind of a tough one to watch the headlines, but Regeneron too, they're getting paid Regeneron was 1.4 million doses of the COVID, their COVID vaccine, worth almost $3 billion is what it says here. That's a tough one, man. So that money going there, they are making it rain on them. Microsoft, we talked about that already. The analyst there was spot on. Good job. I forget who it was. Wynn Resorts fell into the mix today of the regulations in China. Not a big deal there. All the Macau-related stocks traded lower. Gaming law changes, gaming regulations, and how they might affect the public stocks there. And just have Pepsi as the last one. Didn't really move on the day. They are going to go more green. They're going to recycle the plastic instead of using what they call virgin plastic. So they're not going to, hopefully, not going to produce plastic anymore. They got to phase it out. That's what they say. And then they're going to bump up their SodaStream efforts, really because the demand is there, not because they want to be green. I don't know if you've seen the demand from people for the SodaStream and what this has done for Pepsi. Not a big piece of their company, but the demand is definitely there, unlike like Beyond Meats, right? Who cares? But Beyond Meats. I always find that one fascinating there. Lastly, SpaceX, right? They're launching the rocket, the 4 civilians going to space. I believe only one of them would be considered an actual civilian. The other 3 are nearly smart enough to take over the whole thing themselves. They're not civilians in the traditional sense. I would be a civilian on a space flight. One of them has it can fly like jets, can fly fighter planes and bombers and stuff, and was in the Air Force. The other one's like an aerospace scientist or something. I don't buy the civilian thing, but I'll be watching because I think that's awesome. I just think that's cool. They're going to spend 3 days up there just circling the globe every 90 minutes. You believe that? Every 90 minutes they'll go around the globe. 27,000 miles an hour or something. Come on. Would you do that? Would you go to space, man?
No, I was wondering though, like, because your fantasy, right, is to be on a plane and they're like, we need someone to come fly this plane. You wouldn't want that to happen, I assume.
Well, they won't be flying the space shuttle. It's actually going to be remote controlled from the ground.
But you said they could take over.
I'm
Yeah,
saying
they're
these
smart
people
enough.
are not civilians, like they're not dummies that just want to pay a lot to go to space. These guys are bright people that have experience in that space.
You're good on Earth.
Earth works for
is
you?
Fine. Yeah, I don't need
Yeah,
it.
okay, all right. Anywhere on Earth?
It's,
I do have that fantasy. Every time I get on an airplane, you don't want anything bad to happen to the pilots, but you just kind of hope that maybe they have some bad food and they can't fly the plane, and they're like, is there anybody back here that wants to try to land this thing? I would be doing this thing the whole time. Pick me. I would probably just storm up there and you pick me. I will pay you everything I have. I think that would be awesome. That's like the one life and death thing. I'm like, I think I could do it. I would like to try. Not saying it would be a great landing, right? But I've done it before, not on a big jet like that. I think it'd just be a blast. One day, That's all I think about when I'm on an airplane. They're like, there's no Wi-Fi. That's okay. I'll just sit here and wait. Have the pilots eaten yet? No? All right. No. I'll just stay awake then. You want to believe that a correction is coming soon, but you don't know what would bring it on. Well, what has brought on the 3% drop so far? You know that if tomorrow's negative, Bloomberg or Yahoo Finance and CNBC and all that, they're just going to say the market's lower on Delta variant concerns. That's all they use on a down day because there has been nothing that brought us down 3%, just a little profit taking, right? You'd go to space if you had the dough. I think you can go to space. I mean, it means you must not have the dough. I think they estimated the guy paid $200 million for that. I know. Leaving the atmosphere on the bucket list. All right, we got some daredevils out there. I like it. I like it. Bounce right at the 50-day, right? It's only a technical bounce. Now, you don't like that, to be honest, right? Technical bounces are good for traders. In particular, you're day trading and you believe there's support and other day traders will join you in that area. That's cool. But you want a market to bounce on belief that it has more value left in it, right? At least if you want a sustained bounce. So a technical bounce is often challenged, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, that's all it is. Oh, there'd be no sweating, Doc. There'd be no sweating. I would actually probably fake like, oh, I'm going to need to try this again. Go around. Tell me how to fly this thing around. Let's get back online with the runway. I know. Yep. Imply that there's something shady. No, I mean that the government, all of those were government contracts. So meaning they did the research, they have a cocktail of sorts, whatever the version of this vaccine it is, and the government's paying for that, for those doses. So like $3 billion. I mean, it's an old, what is it? Where'd the phrase come from? It's a phrase, right? You did the work, something happened, make it rain, throw money on them, right? Is that how that goes?
I think your definition of make it rain and mine are a little bit different, but I think you might be on right.
It's like the GIF or GIF, right? Or whatever, the money's thrown. Oh, throwing money. That's why the confusion, Ashraf. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that. Right? That was like the time that I wanted to be Louis Armstrong for Halloween. I wanted to be Louis Armstrong, and somebody had to tell me what it was to be blackface. I didn't know that. And thank you. Who was it? You?
It's probably my hands getting sweaty. Right now.
Sorry. I mean, you guys know I love the jazz. I wanted to be Louis Armstrong, and I think everybody was like, "Don't do that." I'm like, why not? I got the trumpet and everything. I'm serious. That tells you how much time I spend reading financial stuff. I missed that. Honest mistake. I'm glad I didn't do it, From what I heard, you could probably get in trouble just talking about it. But, yeah. Do you think the market's overvalued? I do not. No. Because you think about inflation. What's happening with inflation? You got a weakening dollar, so you'd have to at least adjust by the difference in the weakening dollar there. Or inflation. So you at least have 5% that you could add to the market, and there'd be no change in value on paper, right? So I think that's what the algorithms figure out is oh, we're worth 5% more because the dollar's worth 5% less. Yep. All right, I will wrap it up there and get back to work on our cool studio here. Thanks for watching and hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow to do this all over again, and enjoy the rest of your day. Adios.